Rando fans, or good afternoon, or good morning, wherever it is that you are. And welcome to Speed Gaming 4 for some Link to the Past Randomizer League Week 2 action. My name is Tyler Salt, and I'm here in the booth with Udai Monistic. Udai, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I am so excited for yet another Ambrosia seed, which has been quite brutal throughout this entire week. I've had a chance to see at least a few matches, and nobody's had good, fun logic to play with so far. But for those of you who aren't familiar with Ambrosia, we're going to have a sword to start with at the minimum.
Well, the sword to start with at the minimum, and we will, not only that, but we will have the boots location, or at least the region of it, spoiled for us by the uncle. And then we, as we get into the dungeons, we will have all the boss of each dungeon will be guaranteed to have some sort of actual item. We got the boots hit right there as our runners are underway. Boots are in the dark world, so there you go. We have LadyBoxthief and LittleMsArcade running for us here today, representing Team Hot Dish and It's Mitts, respectively, in the Kakariko division.
Yeah, both of these two ladies have actually carved their own, I suppose, niche within the community. LadyBoxthief, kind of more well-known by the Gomo podcast folks, and LittleMsArcade, a prominent French runner as well. So two different aspects of the overall community kind of coming together in this race. Pretty fun to watch.
Normally with the standard start, you would expect to see the uncle give you a weapon, but of course in Ambrosia, they start with the sword. So just 10 sticks there from the uncle and a big 20 from the secret passage chest as they head into the rest of the escape sequence.
Well, we find out that's a large magic decanter in the prize pack here for those green guards, which is useful to pick up for the sake of time save later or potential utility if we get a good item for it. But in the grand scheme of things, we're really just looking for bombs out of these drops.
Yeah, that's always the eternal question there in the standard start, right? That you're always looking for those bombs. Hopefully you don't want to have to go back into the back of escape. You want to be able to check it on your way out with Princess Zelda.
Yeah, so that's something we're definitely hoping for. There's several different prize pack checks that we can make in different enemies. Blue guards here, for example, a little bit different. However, this one's guaranteed to give us a key every time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this assured sword put to great effect, trying to basically kill everything in Hyrule Castle on our way to hopefully avoid missing a bomb.
That is the hope, at least. There's plenty of opportunities to farm for bombs if we need to once we get to the back of escape with all the snakes and the mice and the bats back there.
You know, normal things that you expect to be at the bottom of a dungeon.
I mean, yeah. I mean, frankly, I'd be disappointed if they weren't there.
LadyBoxthief's got to be kind of careful here. Had a little bit of a mishap with the sword poke and spin, and then end up taking some damage. So we'll have to be very careful dealing with the green guard in the next in the room with the ball and chain guard. We'll probably see pot strats just to be a little more safe.
I would imagine. Usually the safest play, go for those pots. You can attack the ball and chain guard from a distance, and you get a heart underneath each one anyway, so you may as well.
Well, as expected, when you only have one heart remaining, you definitely grab two pots, and ball and chain guard's down for LadyBoxthief. We're going to see 8 slash strats from LittleMsArcade.
Oh, not anymore. Took a couple hits there.
But with half a heart, though, that's the right play.
Oh, absolutely. We saw bombs in Zelda's chest there, so you probably won't see them killing much of anything else on the way out of escape.
We might see a couple of rats and snakes, but only if it's going to save us time to kill them, which is very rarely. And hopefully these two know how to avoid the bats. The bats are, I don't really know. It's something voodoo about the way that they fly and which arcs they take, depending on where you enter their alert range from.
Yeah, absolutely. My understanding with the ones certainly in the final room of the escape, or at least the one with the back of escape in it, if you hug that left wall, they'll never catch you. but some of the other ones can be a little bit unpredictable depending on what line you're taking.
Well, LadyBoxthief with a early game advantage, having a little bit of a lead heading into the back of the escape. Both of them feeling pretty confident with, I imagine, their rupee count and bombs at this stage of the game. So hopefully just trying to make it through as cleanly as possible, avoiding all possible contact with enemies. Not really finding any items of significance or value, just convenience for the next couple minutes. I'm kind of curious to see how this seed will unfold. We're not getting a lot of information very quickly.
Yeah, nothing really coming up here. So far in Escape, there are 5 more if you count the Sanctuary chest here. LadyBoxthief is going to give us one of them in the Dark Cross here. We've already gotten the key, so some more bombs there. That'll get us all the way through Kakariko. That's nice.
Yeah, with that, and maybe even mini Moldorm Cave and Ice Rod Cave, depending on how many things we really need to check with the bombs. We may, for example, skip the race game. So having that count early, very nice, comfortable position to be in. Got a Key Rat friend here who loves to go to the Northwest. That's his favorite travel destination. Seems like he goes there every single screen.
The true final boss of the Escape sequence, that rat.
I'll tell you, that might be one of the single largest reasons for resets at a certain caliber of play in the speedrun.
Just some pieces of heart in the back of Escape. So those times when you find the bombs real easy, they don't really pay off. You can see LadyBoxthief there hugging that left side of the wall. They have to get the snakes out of the mice out of the way, but the bats just fly out of her way on their own.
Yeah, so respectable escape from both of these two. I'm assuming that the desync on the timers is just a late start on the player side, which is not a big deal with the timer. We use SRL for all timing. So I'm assuming that their timers are actually comparable here. So both of them with a respectable escape sequence.
Yeah, 625 in a randomizer and a standard seed for Escape is pretty solid. I check right away. I saw blue crystals at Desert and Eastern, and the green pendant up at Tower of Hera. We've got cool Papa Bell pushing the buttons for us behind the scenes, tracking this race for us as well.
Alrighty, well, a little bit of overworld information, not a whole lot just yet, but this is an opportunity for us to check some tier 2 tree poles, as we definitely have taken damage and killed at least 4 enemies. 20 rupees being a pretty profitable one.
Absolutely, you love to see that, and 8 bombs from the bush crab. Yeesh, seed.
Alright, Cash Flush, LittleMsArcade got a watch out here, half a heart. We'll be able to get the bomb from the Hoarder Crab, and that may actually influence her to check Lumberjack.
Oh no, got stuck. The Lumberjack is blocking her way to the bombs. Just a heart container on Lumberjack, so we won't need to worry about that one.
No, I thought it was an 8 bomb stack on the Lumberjack.
Oh no, on the Lumberjack ledge, it was a heart container.
Okay.
On the actual Lumberjack there, we saw LittleMsArcade got an 8 bombs stuck next to the Lumberjack, actually cutting down the tree.
Impolite words, I imagine, being said in French on that side.
Ooh, and there is the flute right away. Makes movement real nice.
Alright, so a little bit of information for overworld traversal. We at least have a means, once we get through our glow upgrades, to get into the mire area and to the mountain. Now, we can already access the mountain without the normal requisite items with that flute, so while we probably don't want to do that without a hook shot or a mirror, it may just end up being the right decision.
There's a Master Sword in Blind's Hut and the hammer. A weapons cache down in Blind's Hut basement this morning. It's nice morning in Hyrule.
You know, I'm just amazed at how many weapons the Hylians or Hyruleans, whichever you prefer, are keeping in their basements. You'd think they'd be able to take on this Ganon fellow himself.
One would think, yes. See, but I think they're probably just all collectors and none of them have any actual training.
Yeah, after all, I mean, not anybody can rescue 7 maidens and crystals, whichever you prefer to refer them to.
Both, really.
Yeah, one and the same. And to do this with just 90 or so minutes, maybe even 120 in a really rough situation. Not everybody's capable. These two, very capable.
Absolutely. Nothing in Kakariko well. Do get another heart container. That's nice. LittleMsArcade, I'm sure will appreciate that. Free refill. We'll check the bottle vendor now and activate our flute.
So you activate the flute, I imagine you finish all of your Kakariko checks before you go anywhere else, but I wonder if we're going to see either of these two check the desert ledge, before heading to the South Shore, just because, it's an easy-to-access location, doesn't take long.
I was about to say that if you get the flute early, I do like to flute over to the desert and check the desert ledge and Agina's cave. Those can be really easy to orphan if you're not careful. With desert being crystal, you are going to make your way over there eventually, but having the flute there early definitely is a nice little way to put that put that out of your mind.
Well, chicken on the plate for dinner, they're not revealing anything but looked like 10 arrows, I believe. So, not really getting much more than in the Blind's Hut so far, or not Blind's Hut, the Thief's Hut.
Yeah,
Thieves'
other than the hammer and the Master Sword, it's been Jackarico here.
Well, some boots locked knowledge. What was that boots hint again?
Boots hint was Dark World. Just the piece of heart there on the library, though.
Yeah.
No, of course, Master Sword and Hammer ain't Jack, but you want a little bit more than that coming out of however many checks this is.
LadyBoxthief says 2 shields, too many for me. Gonna head south to the dam. Apparently, not too concerned about the desert information, and as you mentioned, being that that's crystal, you're likely to come back anyway. I agree with that as well. LittleMsArcade, seeing the shield on the ledge, drops a bomb and flutes out of there. 2 bombs. There's strong opinions going on over here at the race game.
I love a good rage bomb. That's always fun. Ooh, we have ourselves a hook shot sitting in the flooded area there by the dam. I would imagine that is going to put Tower Hera fully in logic, as well as the rest of Eastern Death Mountain. Tower Hera, just a pendant, but it is that green pendant. You get an extra item out of that. Wonder if we'll see either runners head all the way up there. Tower Hera not completable without a fire source, however.
Or at least certainly we don't know whether or not it would be necessary, but you can't do everything in there. Not fully completed, as you mentioned.
Not full clearable, yes.
Yeah, well, we'll see if this find helps them pull ahead in the logical chain. We're finding a tempered sword, book, armor, some more bombs, and just arrows here in the mini Moldorm cave. So that's a nice bounty.
Yep, mini Moldorm cave, the new hype cave, changed my mind.
I'd be hard-pressed to change your mind on that, as I, too, have that opinion. However, this mini Moldorm, LittleMsArcade probably doesn't agree with us on that front, or at least the front of that cave.
LadyBoxthief using her flute, save a little bit of time, hop over there to 8, and she's going to check Ice Rod Cave.
All right. Alrighty, this is a single check that a lot of folks end up orphaning, or at least trying to delay as much as possible. Today it's just going to be a little bit more funds for her wallet. LadyBoxthief has some choices at this point. It seems like the mountain's the logical choice for a lot of folks, and we don't have enough money to, fake flip her to Zora or anything, let alone get a water walk.
Yeah, you're never going to turn down rupees this early in the seed. LadyBoxthief now is headed over to desert. He sees a big 20 on the ledge. He's going to see what Old Man Agina has hiding in his cave.
I like this choice. If you're going to check Ice Rod Cave, you're pretty much trying to exhaust your Sphere 0 and Sphere 1 options completely. So you don't want to leave any stones left unturned in corners of the world that you have access to now, but might forget about later.
Oh, and that's true. And now I forgot that she picked up the book, so you can head right into Desert Palace. No boots yet, so we're not sure, and no boots, no fire. Can't complete it. Can't even fully check everything. So we'll see whether she heads in there or not. See if it's boot slot.
I think it'd be a really gutsy play to do it. For the reasons that you mentioned, it's not exactly appealing to do just yet. But since we know it's in the Dark World, those boots, and we have no knowledge of a fire source yet, it's kind of hard to stomach trying to go in there now.
Yeah, I think both of our runners made the right play there in heading up the mountain, navigating the Old Man Cave in the dark. LittleMsArcade getting out there with no trouble. Ooh, as LadyBoxthief takes a fall, you could hear. Old Man has a bottle for us. Sick Kid did one normal Kakariko check that we couldn't make. So with the flute, easy to get back there. We'll be back in Kakariko a couple times throughout. Ooh, and a death there on the mountain from the Cabbages of Doom there on LittleMsArcade's side. Luckily, not that far away.
Yeah, I was going to say, the good fortune there is you're already on the mountain, so with that save point unlocked, no big deal. That will give some time to LadyBoxthief to finish the cave and kind of catch up a little bit here. I speak in relative terms because we did see LadyBoxthief go to the desert, whereas LittleMsArcade hasn't.
LittleMsArcade, I believe, skipped out. Did she skip out on Ice Rod Cave as well?
No, she did get Ice Rod Cave.
She did check it? Okay.
Yeah, so with same equipment, we find a cape on the top of Spectacle Rock, which is an interesting location to have it. Probably not going to need it for Aghanim access, but who knows?
Well, they definitely don't need it for Aga access because they have the Tempered Sword at this point. So cape's unnecessary. But if it's me, I'm picking that up a little bit later if I'm up in the area.
Yeah, I can understand why someone would want to do that if they had another reason to be coming up that side of the mountain. I'm a little concerned that there wouldn't be a natural opportunity. You would just only jump down to get the portal. You would otherwise have to spend some time to do it. But maybe even leaving the Tower of Hera, that might be a good time.
Yeah, maybe either leaving Tower of Hera if you manage to get the mirror up here on the mountain. I could see if you... we still don't have a glove, so maybe you're going to have to come back up here with the mitts eventually to do Dark Death Mountain checks. And so maybe if you head over to Spike Cave at that point and you have the mirror, that might be a good time to do it too.
Yeah, so some strange things to have to consider for later for routing. I think both of them might be kind of considering right now. When would I actually grab that?
Paradox Cave coming up completely empty. There, nothing, 7 checks, not a thing there. So we'll see now if LadyBoxthief decides to head over to that green pendant Tower of Hera without a fire source, or if the plays just head down Spiral Cave right away.
Right, and that's an option available to both of them. The nice thing about this Paradox Cave for the two of them is that they are finally getting a little bit more health in this seed. They were down to like 3 and 4 hearts each. Like that was some pretty sketchy, things to deal with in the overworld. And normally you can just kind of face tank a little bit. On top of that, they do have Zora money, so the next time they're in the neighborhood to try to do that, it's available to them.
Absolutely. As we see both of our runners heading over to Tower of Hera, they have the book, so we can check the Ether Tablet as well. This makes some sense. See what the Ether Tablet has in store for us today. Ooh, and it's the lamp. What a convenient place for that.
Wow.
That book paying off early dividends. Now Tower of Hera is full clearable.
Yeah, so everything that we need in order to be able to do this, we don't have any realistic way of doing something like a Herapod, but having that big key means we won't even have to worry too much about that.
Yeah, tough. Yeah, now that bottle is in logic. Tough Herapot setup with the without the boots for sure. You can do it just with bombs. It's possible, but it is difficult.
And I would say to the point where you probably don't want to bother.
No, and as we see LadyBoxthief, not even sniffing at it. Did get the small key though, so it is looming. Now, this is a good reminder as we are into our first dungeon in the seed. One of the other things about Ambrosia as a preset, in every dungeon, here in Tower Hera, there are 2 items. One of those 2 items is guaranteed to be on Moldorm. That'll be the case in each of our dungeons here today, where one of the items ends up on the boss, no matter what. So we'll see if our runners are able to remember that. I know I've forgotten it once or twice, and count items accordingly. Because if you get that first item early on, then you can beeline it for the boss.
Oh, a little bit of divergence between the 2 of them. LittleMsArcade gonna go for the 2-pixel window for the bomb jump here, and that looks like a decent setup to me.
Yep, she's got it. Rewarded with 50 rupees for her trouble, so we don't have to deal with the basement today. There's one item. The other item will be on Moldorm.
Of course, the thing to remember about Ambrosia is that while there is an item guaranteed on the boss, that does not guarantee that that item on the boss is any good.
No, absolutely not.
Runners all week.
It's just not going to be the map or a compass or a key.
Well, all in all, Hera so far not being all that big and important for us. We'll find out here in just a moment whether or not this was a complete bust save for the green pendant.
And the butter sword! This is 21 minutes in. That is the fastest butter sword I have ever seen. Not even close.
Well, we've got synchronicity going on here. Actually, the magic refill putting that very close to LittleMsArcade there. So, very small separation between the 2, and they are very well equipped. So judging by the looks of things, both of these 2 heading on over to the Spiral Cave, as there's no means of doing the Spike Cave without a Moon Pearl, let alone a glove. This is really the only remaining check they can do over in this direction.
Yeah, I would imagine that we're going to see a run over towards Sahasrara and Eastern Palace, especially now with that green pendant. So you got 4 items there with Saha and 3 in Eastern Palace. Can't beat Eastern Palace yet without the bow, but it is there.
And after having found 4 swords, I wouldn't even be surprised if Eastern Palace had its bow at this point.
It's entirely possible. Just 50 rupees in Spiral Cave. We see LittleMsArcade taking save and quit and a refill. LadyBoxthief back up on the mountain. I don't think that LadyBoxthief checked the Spectacle Rock items. She just went straight over to the east. So she's going to head back up there and check what's up on Spectacle Rock, inside Spectacle Rock. Not going to be much of anything, as we see LittleMsArcade headed right over to Eastern Palace area and Sahasrara.
Yeah, all this making sense. LadyBoxthief, having the hook shot already, sees the density, goes after it first. Unless you happen to find the mirror and mitt somehow in this, which you can't. Only 2 items over here. You weren't going to necessarily want to take this route anyway.
Unfortunately, I believe that was just a piece of heart there from Saha. So Tower Hera, a total bust. Bombs, a red potion, and a piece of heart. We get a sick kid check. 10 bombs there from the sick kid. And some rage slashes from LadyBoxthief. We're running
I
out of
do not
places
think
for
that's what the doctor
progression. No, it's definitely not. Good to take those explosive away from this sick child, though. It's probably smart.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think not a lot of progression left, as you're saying.
No,
so
there's not a whole lot of places for it.
Getting a question in chat about how the SRL timing works, because basically on the stream you're seeing two different timers that aren't the same synchronization. Now they are actually synchronized on screen. LittleMsArcade's timer got started a little bit late, which is not a problem. The IRC channel that we use for SRL does the start command and then they .done command when they see the tessellation effect of the Ganon room once they've entered the Triforce room. So it's all perfectly synchronized in that matter. This is just for show.
I have definitely forgotten to start my on-screen timer on a number of occasions, so it happens.
Yeah, so the drying out progression options here, I'm kind of curious. We're going to find a bow, we're going to find, gloves. What else is on the table at this point that would really expand our access to the world? Or
the flippers.
Are we potentially looking at Aga?
The flippers certainly would open up a couple checks up there in Zora's domain. We can check those right now out of logic, but not even all of them because we don't even have the Moon Pearl yet. We still need a glove and a Moon Pearl for Dark World access. We haven't gotten an item yet, I believe, in Eastern. So we shall see what the rest of this dungeon has in store for us. Only 2 items accessible.
Yeah, I gotta think if you're running this dungeon right now, you're really hoping for one of those 2 to be the bow, just so you can do this all in one go.
Unfortunately, LittleMsArcade's stream took a hiccup there, and so wasn't able to see what she got out of the chest over there on the left-hand side.
Well, we have everything we need to get to the other half of the dungeon, at least. A lot of people in this randomizer end up doing like a lot of dark rooms, particularly in this dungeon. So our comprehensiveness in the overworld is certainly preventing any of that.
That early book playing dividends. Also gives us access to Desert Palace, which we have not seen the interior of. Just a single rupee there. Eastern Palace coming up empty so far. This is going to be the big key in its vanilla location, and our runners will head over there and check the big chest, hoping for a bow, but they'll certainly take any progression. Bow would be ideal.
Yeah, exactly, and it certainly seems like we're kind of dialing in to these last remaining items. I mean, where else? Desert? Desert and Aghanim.
And Zora, yeah.
Well, now that I think about it, I don't even think we can logically get to Zora right now.
No, we can't. You're right. We'd need a glove. We could fake flip her up there and see it.
Right, so it is possible for both these runners who incidentally have very similar looking numbers of rupees.
But yet, Desert is the play. LittleMsArcade has not gone over and seen Agina, so she's going to do that first. But I have to imagine, we're running out of spots. I have to imagine our runners are going to be headed into Desert Palace here before too long.
And that is the bombs for LadyBoxthief. A full save and quit because we don't have that mirror to work with. Where she ends up heading next, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, we talked about the fake flipper play. That is something you could potentially do. Desert, though, kind of looking like the right option. And both of these two will be very close to each other once again, entering that dungeon if she goes that way.
LadyBoxthief is walking there, interestingly. You have the flute.
Yeah, this is a classic thing that I think all of us have done at one point. Looked back on and we're like, why?
Yeah, we're running out of spots. you know, in order for this to not be an Agaseed, you need to find the gloves here in Desert Palace, right? And then maybe the Moon Pearl on Zora, that could work out.
Yeah, so that would be one way that we can completely dodge it. And I think once you've checked the desert here, you know exactly what to expect in that regard. Maybe not necessarily what's on Zora unless you're forced into that. Aghanim looking pretty likely, in my opinion, at this point.
It does seem pretty likely. There's the small key, putting us off for a little bit longer. Chat raising the possibility that the Pearl is over here on the torch in Desert Palace and Boots are on Pyramid. That's very rude. And I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed, chat.
You know, the tough thing about it is it's not that hard to, like, fathom somebody not even looking at the torch, thinking, well, I'm not going to have Boots until later.
Well,
there's the Moon Pearl.
There's your Moon Pearl.
All right, well, with that completely excised from memory, moving on to how in the world are we going to even make use of that thing?
Well, we still have... Oh, they're saving and quitting out. That's interesting. Oh, I don't agree with that at all. Once they've got the desert is a crystal. You can beat it. Why
Except
not just
for
walk
getting
over?
in.
Oh, they don't have the gloves. Oh, they don't have the gloves. Right. Yep.
See,
Well,
that's the thing
LadyBoxthief is headed up towards Aga. LittleMsArcade is checking Sick Kid first, but we are headed up to deal with the Dark Wizard.
Well, this has taken a number of swings so far here in the race. We saw LittleMsArcade ahead for about 5 to 10 minutes there. LadyBoxthief early on for like 5 to 10 minutes, all of like 30-second gaps. So these two very comparable runners so far.
LittleMsArcade is gonna fake flipper here, trying to avoid the Aga play as used in any way she can see, any way she can. Here, gonna check Hobo with the Moon Pearl. She can fake flipper into the waterfall cave. With I don't think that she's got the stuff that she needs to do to splash delete in order to fake flipper over to the Zora ledge. But she's really hoping that the Hobo here or the Waterfall Fairy or Zora himself have progression.
Yeah, as of right now, we're definitely short a couple of equipments that we would want to have to spawn enough Ancilla to splash delete. Extra money not going to be bad, but definitely not what LittleMsArcade wanted there.
No, really what you're hoping here is for the gloves to be on Zora, and that the flippers are over on Waterfall, or on Pyramid Ledge. That would work. But frankly, I don't know how likely that is. Really, it's a really specific bet.
Well, I guess maybe one thing that
Maybe you find the bow up there or something.
I mean, she might be thinking, you know, hey, if I can find something that makes my early Dark World more convenient. I mean, maybe she's already resigned to the fact that this is an Aghanim seed and is just trying to play the odds to have a better pod. Like, if you find a mirror in here, that's huge.
That is true. Of course, if you're swimming and you swim inside, if you're swimming inside, you must be able to walk outside. So, trick the game into thinking that. Remember to throw the bottle in there for a free refill. Red poke.
For some reason, the game seems to think that having the Moon Pearl is an important factor of that too. I'll never understand that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get that one either.
My best guess is that it's something to do with how the game perceives world states. You know, if you have the Moon Pearl, you must be, at least at this point into the game, some weird stuff like that.
I think it has to do with, I feel like I'm remembering a discussion of this at one point. It has to do something like the order in which it checks to do things. If it checks for the Moon Pearl, it forgets to check for your flippers or something like that. I don't know. LadyBoxthief headed into the Aghanim fight as LittleMsArcade is about to throw some money into the water. Just get a little bit less money in return. It's too bad.
All right, well, definitely not fun to get those things in that chain. I mean, you did get some of the money that you needed to waste there out of the 300 drop from the Hobo. But on the bright side, knowledge and LittleMsArcade can finish stuff like Catfish and not have to worry at all about whether or not there's a mirror involved.
Got 2 blue balls on the first pass from LadyBoxthief.
And the Aghanim fight here being done expertly by LadyBoxthief, the only recommendation I might make towards this fight is try to knock him towards the center of the arena. The warp distance is a little bit shorter on average. However, sometimes the RNG just works better either way.
I believe this should be the last hit, if I'm counting correctly. There it is, yep. As Aghanim goes down, we get some spins from LadyBoxthief, and the Dark World now opened.
Regarding the question in chat, and for those tuning in later into the race,
And sorry to interrupt, I want to get this out of there. We got pendants at Swamp and Turtle Rock, red crystals at Mire and Ice.
Yeah, so early Dark World information for LadyBoxthief, finding out that the pyramid was also pretty worthless. But we'll at least know where to go here in the Dark World, having done that map check. But to answer kind of that question in chat about, how there's a separation between these two right now, primarily LittleMsArcade took an opportunity to do a fake flipper sequence once we had the Moon Pearl, which took her all the way to Zora. And they were otherwise neck and neck for the entire time up until then.
See, LadyBoxthief, not headed into Pod. Gonna go check Hype Cave first. I feel pretty good about Hype Cave this time around. We're still looking for a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, we haven't found any rods, any kind of bow and arrow. Either the canes, we need a mirror. What are gloves?
Well, shows how much I know. As LadyBoxthief drops a Rage Bomb, Hype Cave, a solid 0 out of 10.
Can absolutely relate with that bomb drop. Now, the interesting choice for LadyBoxthief here is that there's only one item to the west that she can actually access. And it can't possibly extend her... Well, 2 items, I'm sorry. They can't possibly extend her route this way unless they're both gloves. So this is an interesting choice. I agree with it because it's nice to get it out of the way. But definitely one of those things that you don't think your opponent's going to do.
300 rupees from Stumpy, another Rage Bomb there. Yeah,
Wouldn't want to just take his money for nothing.
I think I would have gone either into Pod or gone up and around. Yeah, what she's really hoping for here is a bow. Thank you, Cadenza, in chat for that. If she gets a bow out of the digging game, then now Pod is full clearable, which could make this very, very much worth it.
And that may indicate LadyBoxthief's intentions to head to Palace of Darkness regardless.
With just bombs. Not sure where she's headed walking out of here. Nope, there's the saving quit. Okay. Flute was in the Thieves' hideout in Lost Woods.
Alrighty, well, spawning back on the mountain, LadyBoxthief likely going to head back towards the castle moat portal, if anywhere.
Yeah, I imagine this is either the pod dip or a up and around with the hook shot over towards Village of Outcast.
LittleMsArcade doing some counter spins, doing a dance actually, some sort of tango with Aghanim there. It was pretty creative. A pirouette, is that how you pronounce it?
Pirouette, but yeah. Boots hit was Dark World. Those could show up just about anywhere here now.
Yeah, that's true. We got that hint right at the beginning of the seed and anywhere in the Dark World, presumably Overworld, of course.
Yeah, that might have, now that I think about it, that might be coloring our racers' choices here to skip pod early and go and do these south checks, and then LadyBoxthief's choice to again skip out on pod, check out these other Dark World overworld locations, thinking, you know, one of these is going to be the boots here. And there they are on Bumper Ledge. They're going to need that cape up on Spectacle Rock. Womp womp.
Yeah, they didn't have any realistic opportunity to get it either. Our boots are mirror locked currently,
Yes,
which
are.
is not a great feeling. Is this one of those scenarios where mirror could be in GT?
Yeah, I think it could, right? Because Swamp is a crystal, and we already have desert access that's not through Misery Mire. So sure, yeah, that could totally, mirror could totally be in GT.
But Tyler, did we end up getting the big key in desert?
Yes, we have the big key in desert. Yeah. Yes, I mean pendant. Thank you.
This is nuts. That's a possibility. Not confirmed. We might just find the mirror here or something, but you know, still, that's something that's on the table right now.
Still nothing out of Village of Outcasts. We have the chest game here from LBT. There is the Fire Rod. Nice place for that. Now we have Thieves Town and Skull Woods full clearable right here. LadyBoxthief on her way to getting her first 2 crystals of the season.
Yeah, and don't let this seed deceive you. 40 minutes in is not a weird situation right now. This is a full light world to clear pretty much everything we can do. Going into an Aghanim clear, and then having to go the long way around to the Village of Outcasts, so you kind of expect this. And maybe not going into it, but at this point.
Big 20 in the first test of Thieves Town.
I'm going to get an exhaustive check of at least the front 4. This is a crystal, so LadyBoxthief, of course, going to finish everything in this dungeon after that. While LittleMsArcade heads up towards the northwest corner, forgets about the glove. I made that one happen a lot of times.
Yep, we've all done that one. LittleMsArcade. Oh, yep. Realizing she doesn't have the gloves, so Catfish is gonna have to wait.
Now, it's more embarrassing to think about how many times I've gone all the way to the Catfish Rock after having done that.
There, at least catching there, you don't feel too bad.
Well, she's got better wits than I do. LadyBoxthief and LittleMsArcade doing a great job to get through the overworld checks. As we'll get to see if there's going to be some kind of reaction from LittleMsArcade at these boots on the bumper ledge.
Yeah, just because you get the location of the boot spoiled at the beginning of the season, does not mean that you're gonna like it. The race that I calmed earlier this week, an Ambrosia seed for the league, right off the bat, it's like, boots are in Ganon's tower. Well, crap.
Yeah, not the greatest feeling, but I'm impressed with LittleMsArcade showing nothing, no response, absolutely cool-headed, steel in her veins when she saw those boots. So I think she's already got her plan for that figured out.
LadyBoxthief
just
finds
waiting
the
on the
Cane
mirror.
of Samaria there in Thieves Town. Sorry to interrupt, my fault.
No, but that Cane of Samaria, important information. We've been looking for all of these different pieces of the progression puzzle, so LadyBoxthief getting well rewarded for starting here.
Yeah, unfortunately, LittleMsArcade might end up double dipping, or is gonna end up double dipping Skull Woods here. Doesn't have the item yet, and we know that Fire Rod is sitting in the chest game just south of it.
Yeah, knowing that one of those items is on Mothula, that burns twice as hard to think about. But, I mean, while it's annoying, it may just delay LittleMsArcade from coming back to finish this dungeon until later.
Yeah, I think with the LadyBoxthief clearly making the decision. Oh, and there's our bow. That's our other item, our first item there in Skullwoods. So that's good to know. But LadyBoxthief clearly making just a tiny bit better decision there. Both are perfectly defensible decisions to do these in either order. Just work out a little bit better for LadyBoxthief, finding both the Fire Rod and the Cane of Samaria are going to make the end of Skullwoods a little bit better for her.
Well, both of our runners have found everything but the boss item. LittleMsArcade exiting Skullwoods without the crystal, of course, for now. I'm gonna continue heading further into the dungeon, actually. She may have forgotten that there's only 2 items in this dungeon.
That is exactly what has happened. She's either forgotten that there are only 2 items or forgotten that it is an ambrosia seed. This is not going to work out well for her.
Regrettably, also doesn't have that Cane of Samaria from Thieves Town. We're getting a blind fight from LadyBoxthief. We'll get at least some sort of item here after the 9th slash the land. Just 20 rupees.
But our first crystal exceed 45 minutes or so in.
Yeah, put her on the board. LadyBoxthief has a couple of options available to her. I don't think she got everything in this area, but she may have. Would probably be heading north towards Skullwoods by all measures.
That's exactly what she's doing. I'm not sure why she's going this way. Seems like the long way to go. But she got everything in Village of Outcasts there. Has her Fire Rod, has her Cane of Samaria. That is going to make this Skullwoods clear. Very straightforward for her, at least as straightforward as it can be. Oh yeah, real bad decision to go that way. Can't go that way. Don't have the glove.
To be honest, maybe just trying to consider the glove and then overcompensated for it in the first routing attempt. So I can relate to that. There's definitely things when you don't have your equips that you're like, wait a second, am I really supposed to? And you kind of second guess yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely defensible to do that. Everybody's done it for sure. Since we're seeing some stuff that each of our runners has already gone over, let's do a little bit of a reset here. This is Season 2, Week 2 of the Link to the Past Randomizer League. This match between Team Hot Dish, represented by LadyBoxthief, and Team It's Mitts, represented by LittleMsArcade. My name is Tyler Salt. I'm here with Eudaimonistic in the booth.
Hello.
And we are doing an ambrosia seed. Got that description in there in chat there of what an ambrosia seed is. All of our runners will be doing that. But if you're not familiar with the league, this is your first time tuning in. This is a 7-week-long team league setup. We got 64 teams in Season 2 of the league, each with 3 runners each, and each player would be, or each team up against another team each week. 2 of the 3 runners will be playing each week. The winning person in each match gets 3 points for their team. So those are the numbers that you see next to Team Hot Dish and It's Mitts up there in the upper part of your screen. It's Mitts 2-1 so far. Team Hot Dish still looking for that first win.
Well, a couple of things conspiring well for LadyBoxthief in this seed so far to give her a chance to elevate her team to their first victory, because we saw a somewhat time-intensive fake flipper check from LittleMsArcade going into Aghanim, as well as LadyBoxthief finding a more convenient route with Thieves Town into Skullwoods in this particular seed. So LadyBoxthief will have actually a 2 crystal advantage, presumably, as long as this back half of Skullwoods goes well. Ambrosia, for those of you who are not as familiar about it, go ahead and take a look at the actual bot command that you see in chat now. But if you're watching us, say, on YouTube or something, you do have a guaranteed item on every single boss of the normal dungeon counts. We'll always start with a sword, and the boots will be spoiler hint. Will be hinted at in a spoiler from the uncle. Those are the words I was trying to configure.
So we do know we got the hint that the boots were in the Dark World, and in fact we just found them. They're up on Bumper Ledge, which means we need the magic cape. We know where that is too. We saw it up on Spectacle Rock. Need the mirror to get there. We are just about 50 minutes in the seed, and we do not have a glove yet, which has, I think, proved annoying to both of our runners on a couple occasions.
Well, we finally get to see some of this use of the gold sword here in the Mothula fight. While the original game wasn't programmed very well to handle this weapon, you're definitely not supposed to have it when you do this fight. You know, the randomizer does patch that, and LadyBoxthief putting it to great use, plus the fire rod to get a mushroom.
Oh boy, another fetch quest. Just what I always wanted.
Well, similarly, red item coming out of LittleMsArcade's Thieves Town adventure, getting the Cane of Samaria, which he probably regrets not checking here first, just because of how annoying that Gibdo room is. Oh no, LadyBoxthief, having not found the bow yet in the front half, we'll actually end up checking this second chest in the back here, which is very time intensive.
Yeah, certainly it is without the mirror.
Well, we'll likely see a death warp. LadyBoxthief does still have that red potion. We saw LittleMsArcade actually use it in the Hellway here in Thieves Town, having some very unfortunate enemy RNG in that room, actually.
They don't
so
call it the Hellway for
safety
nothing.
choice. It'll definitely put some more pressure on her to have a good blind fight, though. Sword beams are a nice convenience, but realistically speaking, you just want to have as much health as possible in case things do go sideways.
So LadyBoxthief is going to head back into the front half of Skullwood. She will be rewarded with her bow. As soon as we see that, I expect that we will see a save and quit, and then head back over to finish Eastern Palace and head into the Palace of Darkness. Both of which will be full clearable once she has that bow in hand.
Yeah, it's kind of an awkward situation for doing both of them because you really, really want to be able to do them with the mirror. And your best bet in that scenario is you find it somewhere in Palace of Darkness, having walked there from the pyramid. We have all the components to get there quickly if we just had a glove or a mirror at the same time.
Right.
Would be even better.
Yeah. So like normally you'd get to the Dark World, you flute to 5, you head up there, you could do them in either order really, but then you would mirror to get to the other one or hop back into the portal. Without the mirror, you think you flute over to 5. She's gonna turn the mushroom first. That's smart. You flute over to 5. You do Eastern Palace. You head out of there. You jump down, and then you do pod. That's what I would expect.
Well, as we get a mushroom check, a very clutch recovery, it looks like, from LittleMsArcade for the blind fight, securing her first crystal of the seed, as we get nothing but a red boomerang, which I guess, besides ancillary implications, doesn't do much for us for LadyBoxthief. That is an extra stun item if you wanted it.
LittleMsArcade with her first crystal of the seed from Thieves Town. LadyBoxthief is indeed headed over, going to take down Eastern Palace, get the last item in there off of Armo's Knight.
Well, we said something about it, therefore it happened. I think that's the commentator way, isn't it? LadyBoxthief forgetting for a second there that you definitely need a glove to do these things.
Yep.
So we'll actually go into Eastern first, whereas I think otherwise she had intended to go into Palace of Darkness immediately.
That's true. I didn't even think about it. Without the gloves, you can't even do it the easy way. And flute to 5 back and get into Palace of Darkness. You got to go all the way through the castle port.
Which, in the grand scheme of things, if we don't find like a mirror in either of these two dungeons, it didn't matter. It's effectively the same amount of time. But if you were to find one in Palace of Darkness, that's some time saved for LittleMsArcade, potentially.
So what are we looking for still here? Potentially we need the mirror. It's always nice to find the mirror, I guess. We need both gloves, certainly for Go Mode. We're going to need the flippers, logically, for Go Mode. We can fake Flipper over into Ice Palace, but ooh, LadyBoxthief misses the Stalfos here. Gonna have to take them down the old-fashioned way.
You know, there's still that interesting scenario where the mirror-locked boots could potentially be blocking something, you know, pretty critical and give us a very long logical chain to get there. Or even be as nasty as GT, you know, and be completely unnecessary like any of the boots locations. You know, so when we end up having access to that mirror ends up, you know, being critical, I think, in the grand scheme of the logic of the seed.
And it's true that, like, you know, not having the mirror means that there are a lot of checks that you're not going to have to make, right? Mirror opens up a fair number of things. But I got to say, I would much rather have the mirror as soon as I can, because it just makes moving around this game world so much more pleasant, so much easier.
And the later that it shows up, the harder it is to actually check all those locations conveniently.
We will need at least one medallion for Misery Mire as well.
Or potentially Turtle Rock for another required item, if there's something
who knows,
in there.
really. But at a minimum, we need the flippers, we need the Mire medallion, and we need both gloves here.
Yeah, so I mean, the shopping list's getting a little bit shorter, but we still have a lot ahead of us, potentially. Alright, a somewhat unconventional Armos fight, but
There's our mirror.
If you speak about it, it happens, right?
Yep, I have to imagine LadyBoxthief is going to be pulling out that flute, heading up, get that cape. Maybe getting those boots right away. You can see that.
You know what's really interesting is that LittleMsArcade can do the exact same thing. I don't know if that... I didn't watch closely enough to see if that was one of those, like, oh, wait, I needed gloves for this thing kind of situations, but that will actually be a huge boon to both of them, as having the mirror in Palace of Darkness is just a huge time difference.
Yeah, and LadyBoxthief is going to make a fool out of me and go into pod before wasting a bunch of time trying to get those boots. This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, while it does definitely make things quicker, in the larger scope of things, I think you just want to try and find some gloves before heading back up there. If you end up going up there for the cape, it's a one-way trip. You're not getting anything else.
That's absolutely right. You hope you can find the mitts before heading back up there, so at least you can loop in some of those other Dark accounts.
I do think that if either of them are able to find even one glove before heading up there, they'll at least be able to get the Spike Cave check as well. Or potentially be able to with potions and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, they'll definitely need the glove for that. And they'll have the cape. It's right there, so...
Yeah, so holding out for at least a little bit better traversal. Both of these two going to complete their chains. We'll see from LittleMsArcade after the mirror acquire whether or not she inquires on Palace of Darkness as well.
There's definitely gloves needed for Spike. There's a big old rock at the end of it that you need to pick up.
Not a lot of worse feelings than forgetting that one. Interesting. So our dungeon did not require the bow for the entrance of it in order to access at least some of the rest of the dungeon. So we could have done this after Aghanim. Whether or not we would have something important on Helmasaur King to make it worth the journey back, after having rounded the world already, remains to be seen. But there's the flippers.
There's our flippers. There. I still like the decision to put it off, frankly. I think that regardless that we could have gotten in here, now we only need to come in here once.
Well, and the fact that we got the mirror along the progression that we followed, excellent choice when it comes to the overall time sink. It's way more efficient.
Absolutely. Pod without the mirror is a bad time.
Alrighty, so our flippers on the table, all of the checks that LittleMsArcade has made have been rendered in logic at this point. Not that any of them really paid out, but it may be something that LadyBoxthief will now consider, having those flippers, all the rupees that you'd ever want. It might be on the table, and that could be a chance for LittleMsArcade to get some time back here.
Yeah, and chat pointing out now that those flippers put Swamp Palace fully in logic, which is, you know, maybe gloves in there. Chat, the boots are on Bumper Ledge. We saw them, and we also know where the cape is. It's up on Spectacle Rock. We're also going to need a glove before we get those boots. There's a big rock in front of that, too.
Yeah, as it turns out, the geology of Hyrule, not very friendly to those who don't wear proper attire. Your accessories actually do a whole lot for you in terms of being able to traverse this world. And those gloves, one of the things you kind of take for granted, usually found relatively early in the seed.
LadyBoxthief running into some trouble with the bomb on that switch there. I don't know why you wouldn't just use the Cane of Samaria there. That seems like a better idea, but it's okay.
You know, honestly, I can't speak to that because I may or may not have been one of those people growing up who finished Helmasaur's first phase with bombs.
Hey,
so...
you know what? That's a badge of honor. I gotta say that is no that is no small feat.
Oh man, this game allows you to grind so much to potentially get all of these things before here too. There's our big key for LadyBoxthief, looking to become her namesake, try and open up some of these boxes here in the back of Palace of Darkness now that we have the proper keys to do so.
How long you been waiting on to use that one?
You know, you probably wouldn't believe it, but that was the first time it occurred to me.
Big 20 there in the Dark Maze first chest as LBT heads down there. Check these last two chests, then we'll see a mirror out down towards Helmasaur. 10 arrows.
Wait, so you're telling me I missed an opportunity to make a pinball joke for LittleMsArcade in Skull Woods? Are you kidding me?
Yes, you did.
Alright, I apologize to both these runners.
Just a big 20. So far, not much in Palace of Darkness other than those flippers.
Yeah, as the two of these make their way towards the Helmasaur King boss fight, an interesting question in chat about why is ambrosia called ambrosia? The actual meaning of that word is supposedly the food of the gods or the nectar of the gods.
Yeah, nectar.
Time back to some ancient, Greek stuff.
Greek and Roman mythology, yeah. And so the thought was, all right, you know, this is a really pleasant thing. You've got a sword right away. You've got the boots hint right away. All the bosses are guaranteed to have an item, which just feels right, you know? And so that's the reference. Somebody called it ambrosia, and it stuck.
I just don't know what specifically about the mode was the reference. I mean, is it just everything? Is it one specific setting they really love?
No, I think
whoever coined this, we need to figure it out.
I think it's the combination of the couple things.
Interestingly enough, we'll actually get LittleMsArcade going after a similar bomb strat for the Switch here. Actually pinballing off the bumpers, interestingly enough, to try and maximize the score of this room in terms of switches pressed.
And you know what else we found in here? We found the flippers.
You know, I mean, I think it's meant to be.
You can't see me right now, but my arms are up in the air like a giant ass. It's great. I feel really good about that pun.
Letters being formed spontaneously. If we had the opportunity for the crowd to do a wave, I'm sure they would. But as was mentioned by one of our viewers, we don't want to get tilted here.
Yeah. That was a really nice turtle room there by LadyBoxthief, killing 4 turtles at once. Very good.
You know, it's an often underestimated room. A lot of people make it look easy, like, you know, when they're running in some of these, but it's honestly one of the more difficult room strats to actually nail every single time, even if it's free to do it the same way every time.
I'm in the middle of learning the NMG run, and the strat for that room looks real straightforward, and it just is not.
Well, having a bit of a turtle fiesta here in the Helmasaur fight, despite how the first turtle rooms went. Open to send him to a turtle siesta instead, and that'll do it.
Oh my god. This is what this is going to be like for the next hour or so, I guess.
Well, you mentioned NMG, so I had to bring back a real old, decrepit meme.
That is crystal number 3 for LadyBoxthief. Not much, just a piece of heart off of Helmet Kings. The Flipper's the real prize here in Palace of the Darkness.
I do think that your suggestion that we would probably end up seeing Swamp here shortly thereafter makes a lot of sense. No gloves to work with. Yeah, we don't need a glove in there at all, do we? I don't think so.
Nope, not in Swamp. It's certainly the densest place that we have left. But looks like LadyBoxthief is going to head up, grab her cape.
I actually really agree with this timing. There is a significant amount of time save that you can have for having boots in the water.
Yeah, absolutely. Going into swamp without the boots is never a good feeling. So I'm okay with this for sure.
We also have the appropriate amount of weaponry, or I guess amount of swords, to possibly chain that into an advanced boss kill strat for Argus. I don't know if this is maybe in consideration for, you know, LadyBoxthief's routing here, that you'd want to have the boots for that purpose, but maybe we'll get to see some really sick tech.
That would be great. That's another one that I have yet to learn.
Honestly, probably not worth it. It's really hard.
Yeah, Cadenza brings. We do not need, or we can't get the gloves yet because we can't get the boots yet because we still don't have a stupid glove. Over an hour.
Goodness gracious, I didn't even think about that.
It's the second time we've done that. Oh man. LadyBoxthief now is going to be treading some old ground here, checking out these Zora checks that LittleMsArcade has already shown us. Gonna come up empty. Can't do Ice Palace, no glove, Kappa.
So this is interesting. As we mentioned before, this was something that could potentially give LittleMsArcade some time back in this race. LadyBoxthief almost assuredly going to take this all the way to Zora and get the Waterfall Cave at the same time. So what LittleMsArcade chooses to do next might end up being the difference between another swing of the lead. An hour and 7 minutes into the seed, there's LadyBoxthief heading towards the Zora area, while LittleMsArcade doing the Helmasaur King fight. 17 smacks to the face of that hammer, and then I guess sword slashes, I would imagine, for the last part.
Yeah, just 2 slashes from Buttersword and you're done. Yudai, where is this glove?
That's a very difficult question to answer. At this point, it really does feel like we're going to find like both of them in Swamp.
That has to be the play, right? Like, I'm not even, like, where else? I'm trying to think about where else it could be.
Oh, no, I just thought of it badly. Okay, yeah, so we do have the mirror locations. Those are definitely on the table. There is also the possibility of maybe, like, a boots-locked glove behind another glove?
Yeah, that's certainly possible.
Desert Ledge? Or not Desert Ledge, but Desert Torch, maybe?
Well, we've gotten the first item out of Desert, I think.
Yeah, good call. That was
the second one's on land, though. Cave 45 is there. Graveyard Ledge is there.
We really, truly are getting into the last few possible overall checks before we end up having pretty much everything available to us.
And I think the only thing that can be on pedestal, I heard a check for that. I think the only thing that can be on pedestal at this point is whatever the Meyer medallion is.
Yeah, taking a glance at it, that's really the only available option. To which I would say that it's very unlikely at this point.
LadyBoxthief was thinking about heading into Swamp, changing her mind. We'll see what is on her mind here. Oh, no, she was going to head into Swamp. She doesn't have a glove, is why she's doing this. Right.
Oh no, that's all the way around the entire Dark World just to get back to that spot.
No, I don't know where she's going, but she could hammer over the bridge. Yeah, she just realized that.
I was wondering, like, north seemed like a wrong way to... Yeah, the slash is probably indicative of that. That's a bad feeling.
There is indeed a rock in front of the bumper cave.
Alright, so we get a CK45 check from LittleMsArcade. I have no idea if we're gonna necessarily see it from her side, but it looks like LadyBoxthief remembering as well, so we'll at least get the two of them covering the same ground here.
Oh, looks like there was a glove in there because LittleMsArcade just picked up a big rock. So,
Nice
here's our
inference.
first glove in Cave 45.
Yeah, so finally finding one. We have a little bit more access to the world finally.
1 hour and 10 minutes. LittleMsArcade is showing us the Bombos tablet here. And there's our other glove. There you go.
Well, 2 for 2 in just 2 minutes, it looks like.
Yep, LadyBoxthief is about to get her Titan's mitts here. As LittleMsArcade heads into Meyer. We'll see Meyer's shed. We'll check the medallion. Maybe hop over into Checkerboard Cave. We need Ether there for Misery Meyer today.
Yeah, we don't have any of those medallions just yet, but knowing that you only need specifically that one definitely makes it a little easier to figure out.
A bottle and a heart container in the Meyer shed today. Both of our runners having the same idea. I imagine that this will be checkerboard for LittleMsArcade and then a desert clear.
But one thing I found very surprising throughout this entire race is just how similar the routing has been for both of these two. They have been following in each other's footsteps, back and forth actually, for the entire hour and 15-ish that we've been running.
Yeah, with the only exception to that being when they ended up doing Zoracek. Excuse me, when they ended up doing Zoracek. Oh, there's a mirror bonk on LittleMsArcade's side. They had another one. This is why you always mirror outside of that ring of rocks.
It's also a little bit funny too, because we just got both gloves, so it's like, oh man. Alrighty, another crystal to be completed for the two of these runners. Really narrowing down on what's remaining. We have everything but that ether to finish this out. And I'm starting to think that we may never, I mean, I'm trying to think of when it would be convenient to pick up the boots at this point. It's not going to save you that much time in GT. It will save you time, but is it worth going all the way to the Village of Outcasts, hitting the portal, going all the way up to Bumper Ledge, you know, before you already can access the Gans Tower?
Yeah, I don't know. I might still head up the mountain and get and do those Dark Deck Mountain checks. It's still a pretty dense location. LadyBoxthief, maybe not. Did she mirror out before getting the big key?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what we're seeing here, because otherwise there's really no reason for her to be over this way. So with that big key, now can finally take care of Lamolus.
That's unfortunate.
Which we did just see from LittleMsArcade. That fight's over. 20 rupees being the other item here in Desert Palace, so that's everything over here. Now, one other thing with these boots to consider is that they could potentially be what locks Ether. Not a ton of things out there that, you know, could need it, or even get into our big key. So it would be very interesting to see someone try to skip the boots and then get hit by that item location.
LittleMsArcade is turning her nose to the boots, is going to hop into Ice Palace.
This is one place where, for the sake of comfort, if nothing else, is a good reason to have boots for. It's not necessarily a massive time save in Ice Palace. You'll save, you know, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, depending on your execution, normally without them. But certainly something that you feel better having.
Yeah, maybe you hope that you find Ether in here. You know, like, if you find Ether beforehand, then you can go mode it. But if you find Ether here, you know you're in go mode, and you go for it. That's why they call it go mode. That's really excellent commentary there, buddy.
You know, you didn't say it wrong. I mean, that's definitely true. Alrighty, fifth crystal for LadyBoxthief, and working on number 6 here for LittleMsArcade. We do not have the luxury of skipping anything here yet. Actually, that might be a reason I would consider, you know, potentially trying to get those boots first. Is, you know, I mean, obviously, LittleMsArcade hasn't been back up to the mountain to grab the cape in the first place. So that would be more LadyBoxthief's play to make at this point. But I mean, maybe you end up finding that Ether somewhere in the overworld on boots checks. That would definitely help you save time in Ice Palace.
It's entirely possible. We see LadyBoxthief headed to pick up some potions. I imagine she is going to make that same decision and head into Ice Palace.
Yeah, buying these potions is a pretty telltale sign of that. Well, a pretty hefty half-dungeon advantage, I would almost call it at this point. Maybe not quite half a dungeon, but certainly a nice chunk of time saved overall over LadyBoxthief for LittleMsArcade. Has a good opportunity to extend this lead if we have good routing to find us an Ether here quickly.
That is the last item that we logically need to complete the Seed the Ether Medallion to get into Misery Mire. We know where the boots are. They are up on Bumper Ledge. We have now the cape. LadyBoxthief has the cape. LittleMsArcade is getting to head back up to Spectacle Rock to get it.
I suppose we could still be looking for silvers if, but I think both of these two are very comfortable with their silverless fights.
Yeah, they're not going to look for silvers, right? If they find them, great. But they're not going to go out of their way looking for them.
It does help a lot that you have the gold sword to work with, while it still would be 12 spins in the last phase. The first 2 phases being much easier makes it a way more comfortable fight.
Absolutely. Now May headed into the Freezor chest room. Unfortunately, not getting a small key there, so gonna have to do this bomb jump.
An excellently done performed bomb jump. There's like a good 6 or so of them you can do here in the Ice Palace, depending on where you want to traverse and why. But that one, a very nice one to kind of use your keys better. LittleMsArcade getting over to the right side a little faster.
Yeah, that one is free if you remember how to do it, which of course I never do. I always end up falling, and everything. Nobody wants that. It feels bad. But our runner's taking care of that with no trouble.
Alrighty, LBT's chance to do an Ice Palace bomb jump here. It looks like she has good setup. We'll get over in one try. Very nicely done.
First try. Nice job, LBT.
In the meantime, LittleMsArcade, she's heading up to the vanilla big key chest, which will, I think, actually have a big key. I didn't actually see it earlier. Maybe it was in that first chest. Well, there was something up there that she uncovered. I guess we'll probably end up seeing it from LadyBoxthief.
Yeah, we'll see it from LBT, or if we get in the mirror there. We have the big key. We have the compass in that spike test. No keys on the right side. So maybe a map, maybe an item.
Alright, well, big shout outs to our tracker, Cool Papa Bell, keeping track of the keys that were not found on the right side, giving us at least some of the information that we didn't catch.
She clearly found she clearly found an item over there because she's skipping the big chest and headed right down to Cold Stair.
Yeah, we did get an opportunity for a little bit of a high five on their way down. LittleMsArcade about to do the Cold Stair fight right now with Gold Sword and lots of magic to work with. Taking advantage of the heal now. Does not have any other potions to my knowledge.
No, that is her only one, I do believe. We did find Bombos over there.
You know, it does save some magic though, which is convenient.
Ooh, just a little early on that spin, unfortunately.
That being said, with Gold Sword, she is in command here. Just a few more slashes, and we should be done with the fight. 2 down and 3rd to follow. Nice.
Just another big 20. Andrew Weir in chat. No, that was a manual. The timers that you see on the stream are unofficial. Those are the ones that they have on their individual streams. LittleMsArcade started hers a little bit late, missed the start there, but the timing is taken care of by Speedrun Live.
Yeah, so we will end up at the end of the race reporting on those official times when we do have them in. Of course, these two still a few stones throws away now that we can actually do that from finishing up this race. Just an Ether Medallion separates us from the finish as we get Bombos on stream for the first time here from LadyBoxthief, which we saw in the fight from LittleMsArcade against Cold Stair.
LBT smartly skipping the vanilla big key chest and that spike chest, having found the other item already. When she gets her Bombos, she knows that she can go straight down to Cold Stair. LMA headed over back to Dark Death Mountain. I imagine she will also get her cape. LMA just started her timer late. They started at the same time, the race-wise.
Alright, now for the Cold Stair fight for LadyBoxthief. This is very similar equipped. This time, 2 extra potions to work with. Does not choose to drink one on the way in.
LMA really hoping for Ether here on top of Turtle Rock. If it's Bombos, you're not going to feel great about that. And of course it's Bombos. So she'll open that up. Will we see a Turtle Rock dip looking for that Ether Medallion?
We have the components for everything but Trinex, which is guaranteed to have an item of some sort. Could even find the ice rod in there and go all the way through and get that. And interestingly enough, that still puts Pedestal in the equation.
Yeah, Ether could still be on Pedestal. She'll definitely come over here, check Super Bunny and Hookshot first. The boots are over on Bumper Cave, and the cape is up here on Spectacle Rock.
Well, cold stare down, so both of these two, 5 crystals in, hour 23 minutes-ish, depending on which time you're looking at. There's our Ether.
And the silver arrows at 1:23 seconds. LittleMsArcade is in go mode.
Gonna have to work with our officiating judges on what exactly that go. I'm kidding. Yeah, so with a nice knowledge advantage, LittleMsArcade checking the Dark Death Mountain. Looks like LadyBoxthief not going to do the same thing, opting to head over to the Village of Outcasts. Should delay her go mode somewhat. As to what we're doing here, I want to say this is getting the boots.
Oh yeah, LMA's definitely getting the boots here, and LBT is getting her boots doing graveyard checks. LMA, on the other hand, grabbing her cape and probably, I would imagine, picking up her boots. May as well at this point. You're more or less in the area. And then headed off to Misery Mire. Nope, she's headed straight to Mire. So this is going to be interesting, right? So we'll see how quickly LadyBoxthief makes her way up to Hookshot Cave. We know that's where she needs to go. LMA, on the other hand, is already well on her way to her 7th and final crystal. Ooh, tough fall there for LBT.
Gonna be kind of interesting to see how much of a boots difference will make, or how much of a difference boots will make between these two. Only having it for 2 dungeons, really. Well, 3 if you want to count GT. It's enough that it could be worth it for LadyBoxthief. I'm just not sure if it's going to be enough to make the difference here.
Well, yeah, where it's really going to make a difference is if that Ganon Tower Big Key is on the torch.
Yeah, at that point, then that's guaranteed to be a really awful climb back up the mountain for LittleMsArcade to have to do. A time-intensive one that would definitely swing this race.
But unfortunately, getting those boots, the siren call of those boots pulling LBT a little bit farther away from where she needs to go. We know that her Ether Medallion and, nicely the silvers are sitting there in Hookshot Cave up on Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, so maybe a whole minute or 2 of diversion here involved in these northern checks after the boots acquisition. Gives LittleMsArcade time to find the one item in here. Or just get that big key.
She doesn't need no items in here. All she needs is that big key, and she's out. There's not really anything that LadyBoxthief could find over here that could really help her out all that much. I guess red mail, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. We've already got. We'll know where we know where the silvers are. I got 3 bottles. Even got the butter sword like we've had since minute 21 of this race. So this is unfortunately every second LadyBoxthief spends down here not going to Hookshot Cave, so we're falling farther and farther behind.
Well, here comes King's Tomb for LadyBoxthief, coming up empty as we pretty much expected at this point. With those boots on feet instead of in hand, opting to stay in the Dark World, which is interesting.
Catfish? This is Catfish, I think.
Okay, and I think if you're heading in this direction, this makes a lot of sense.
You're here anyway. You're looking for one item that can be basically anywhere. This is fine. Yeah, red mail, maybe you're hoping for it'd be nice to find the powder, I guess. That would be nice. Or half magic.
I do think powder or half magic could actually make a difference in Ganon's Tower with this kind of health to work with. Neither of these two have found red mail. And less than 10 hearts is not that comfortable for the endgame. Well, submerged beneath the circle of rocks are very angry Quakefish monster guy thing.
It's the shovel.
Doesn't dig the fact that we're tossing things into this pond.
Hey, don't you? Hey, like, that's my girlfriend, okay?
Wait, what?
Am I being catfished?
Oof. Alright, well, digging the hole deeper, I don't have any other puns, so that's about as shallow as I can get on those water.
LittleMsArcade had her vanilla Big Key in Mire headed down, and has her eye set on Vitreous.
Intending to poke it, whether or not that's the slashes or the... Ooh, nice shovel dash from LadyBoxthief for only 5 rubies. Not much of a tip. Yeah, I mean, so... LittleMsArcade with a pretty straightforward Vitreous fight ahead. We may even see the cape usage out of it. Not sure.
LadyBoxthief has finished her diversion, and thankfully for her is headed up Death Mountain. She will head over into Hookshot Cave, pick up her silver arrows and her ether medallion, and get into go mode here in just a minute.
Now, another thing for us to consider here for LadyBoxthief is the potential allure of the Turtle Rock here. You know, I mean, maybe you don't check Super Bunny Cave, maybe you don't check Hookshot Cave, you know, it's possible.
Man, that'd be really questionable, I gotta say. Like, you know, obviously there are a lot of arrows there there are a lot of checks there in TR, but you know, you always have to you have to make those other checks first. There's so much fat.
Well, we will, however, probably see some sort of response from LadyBoxthief once we see the bombos here. This is something that I would viscerally react to myself. Unfortunately, won't have bombs equipped, has bombos equipped. So a near missed opportunity here to at least make some sort of impression on the top of the mountain. Explosive at this point. In the meantime, LittleMsArcade's got a Vitreous fight ahead of her. I have to imagine you're probably using silvers here, but Gold Sword definitely serviceable for this fight.
Especially, well, if she had the cape, yeah. So just questions about the dig game in chat. Actually, no. What's randomized is just the number of digs it takes to find the item. So the location actually doesn't matter.
Well, we got to see a rare example of 2 silver arrows hitting at the same time for a point-blank shot on LittleMsArcade's fight there. 1 cycle, certainly good enough. 2 arrows to finish it off, and 12 remaining to work with for GT. And we are on our way there, aren't we?
Yes, we are, and you know what that means. It's time for the Big Key guessing game. There are 22 locations in the basement of Ganon's Tower that the Big Key can be. Guess which location it is going to be there in chat. Put a number between 1 and 22. The winner will get some sweet, sweet internet points.
You know, you can't go afoul doing that. The Cocos of Kakariko certainly would endorse that statement. So I personally like to think, 14 is probably a likely number. What do you think today, Tyler Salt?
I said 7. My normal choices were taken. I like to guess 1 sometimes. That way I know whether I win or lose immediately. But I went with a 7.
Well, I do gotta say, if you're a LadyBoxthief fan, you were really hoping for maybe something like 3 or 1. Being on that torch would be a significant swing here in Ganon's Tower.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm switching to 3. I want to see that torch. I want to see Hope Room and then torch.
All right, Tyler, confirmed LadyBoxthief fan.
Hey, always root for an underdog. Always root for an underdog.
Both these 2 exceptional runners, though, for all things that this seed has thrown at them, for them to only be an hour 30 in as they're approaching their final crystal and GT, actually kind of impressive in my eyes. I would definitely expect something like this, the way it started, to take longer.
Make sure you give these ladies a follow on Twitch. We can get their names in the chat here. Just a second. There they are. Thank you. LadyBoxthief and LittleMsArcade. Follow them on Twitch. All kinds of great links to the past content coming out of these 2.
Yeah, I know that LadyBoxthief participates in a lot of the Go Mode podcast, bi-weekly seed stuff and other, events they run. So definitely would see content like that, I imagine. And LittleMsArcade, kind of well known in the French English crossover community. I don't know if she's Canadian, but French Canadian or not, but does speak both languages. I've seen it in stream titles. Pretty interesting content from doing.
Hopefully, we'll see where the big key is. LittleMsArcade giving us a little bit of a slideshow here.
Nobody likes watching that cutscene anyway.
That's true. Screw that. Always takes a little bit longer than it should.
Alrighty, well, I hope those of you in chat are better accounting than me. LittleMsArcade heading to Hope Room first, it looks like.
Come on, Torch. Half magic in the first chest. Red mail in the second chest. God bless Hope Room.
Yeah, you don't need to hope in that room. I mean, that's every line of defense you could ever hope for.
Oh, wrong kind of key on Torch. Small key on Bob's Torch there, number 3.
Yeah, so this does make it a lot more difficult for LadyBoxthief to try and close the gap. There is, of course, all of GT remaining, the Ganon fight itself, although with the equipment we have, this should be a pretty straightforward fight for both of them. It would really take like something really strange, like maybe Ice Armos after leaving this to go right, or like maybe Tile Room. Those would be things that could potentially give LadyBoxthief some time to catch back up.
LMA have a little trouble with these Stalfos. Those were checks 4 through 7. Came up empty. Big key one.
Of course, that does indicate that LMA intends to go full left here, so we'll get to see the rest of the left side here. Hopefully, I mean, 2.5 hearts to work with. This could actually get kind of dangerous. Correction, 3.5 hearts to work with. Sorry,
LMA did go and buy potions, right? I can't remember. One of them did and one of them didn't, and I don't remember which one.
The tough thing, in my opinion, about buying potions is more often than not, you're like, I don't want to waste it here, and then you end up needing to have used it.
Oh, I don't have that problem. I'm a quick draw on my potions.
Hey, I commend you. Then you actually probably use your potions. I always mess up with that.
Well, yeah, so hopefully used one of her potions already before video. It sounds like, thank you, chat, for confirming that she was the one who go get them.
Well, she does have good reason to conserve the one remaining, and in this situation, we've seen her pick up 3 heart pots, or even one of them being a drop. So good knowledge of the dungeon paying off here to keep her a little bit safer in her current lead.
That was check number 10, if I'm counting, or check number 9, excuse me, there in the Firebar room. Headed into Rando room for chests 10 through 13. Number 10, 3 bombs.
Number 11, number 11,
Something.
Number 11, and 12 and 13, I presume. Well, unfortunately, we might not find out, even if it was which specific one, until we see LadyBoxthief go through this section. We'll find out here in a moment whether or not it was even here on the left side, or if we're still moving on the left side.
Oh, we're still going. We're still going. We're alive. So 10 through 13, we're out. We'll see Bob's chest next for check number 14.
Alrighty, I made a wild gamble hoping that it was going to be this one. Bob, the people's champion. Unfortunate situation for LittleMsArcade here, having to actually do the... I'm going to do the bomb jump here to get across. That's a really great tech to be using in this situation, because that saves a lot of time over trying to go around.
Nicely done, and nicely executed as well.
Alright, well, really awesome to see something that is, in my opinion, a little less commonly known.
Bob's chest coming up empty, just a small key. We'll see an Ice Armos fight, 15, 16, and 17. behind them.
Silver arrows for this Armos fight. This is pretty straightforward, but with ice physics, things do sometimes get away from you.
Especially without
not
the
slipping
boots.
behind here.
Nicely done by LMA. Very, very smooth.
And really amazing shot there on the left side of that last Armos. That was really close to hitting the wall instead, and that saved a lot of time to be able to get them all in the first shot.
15, 16, 17 coming up empty. Could this be tile room?
You know, if not, it's definitely the 4 checks beyond that. I mean, we've seen everything else here in the tower so far.
LadyBoxthief making nice use of that cape there in the Vitreous fights, the cape and dash strats. Taking down Vitreous, gets her 7th crystal at 1:38:57. She makes her way up against tower. She has a chance to make up a good deal of time if she does the Dark Magician, perhaps.
Yeah, as it stands, it looks like it's somewhere here on the right side, so even heading full right would be good.
Well, she'll need to. She's gonna have to dip over to the left to get a key, because there wasn't a key in Hope Room. Or maybe it's in Tile Room. Maybe she'll go straight to Tile Room. Who knows?
You know, she could use the torch key that wasn't available to LMA.
That's true. Yeah, she'd have to go over there. Yeah.
Yeah, either way, you know, definitely a really difficult climb to try and catch up. If there were a key in Hope Room, there was potentially a little more volatility in this routing.
There you go. There it is. That was location 18 is
18 chests have been checked, and finally our big key uncovered. Just a single small key at LittleMsArcade's disposal climbing up the tower, which means we'll probably be killing that little mini Helmosaur, or at least I don't think we're checking any other chests at this point.
No, I can't imagine what they'd be looking for. But congrats to Song Leaves, wins 15 internet points. Congratulations. Ooh, LMA down to just 2 hearts now. Gotta be careful here.
It's a pretty scary position to be in walking into Mimics, even though you have, you know, silver arrows. We don't have like a mirror shield or anything. You know, and not necessarily infinite arrows either. So, yeah, just gotta be really careful with these. And LittleMsArcade taken down to 1 heart.
Ooh. Well, you know, if you're gonna take a death, head up the tower. That is not the worst place to get it. You know, you're only losing a tiny little bit of time there. So, although LadyBoxthief now really has an opening, we'll see if she manages to make the right call here and take that key and head over to the right. That Dark Magician strat is really her only, her best hope, I should say, for getting back into this race.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't call this the margin of boots difference, not even close, so it really does depend on something going wrong with LittleMsArcade's climb from this point forward. Only 4 hearts to work with, 3 hearts to work with.
No.
That's still possible.
And I thought she was going back up, but she's going farther to the left. No.
For those of you out there rooting for LadyBoxthief, you're really hoping that there's these 3 hearts end up getting LittleMsArcade's head. However, cooler heads can prevail. With 2 hearts remaining, she does just need to get over with, oh my goodness, a bomb jump over to that restock room. She might not even be able to do that.
Oh, yikes. Yeah. If she takes a hit here, she's got the bombs out. I'll just be nice and careful over Ganon Ball Z here.
LittleMsArcade going for some real clutch stuff here.
Oh, she's got red mail.
Oh, right. So you're not going to take a full heart of damage. Okay, good point. That had me a lot more nervous than I needed to be.
Smart heads up, picking up the, taking out that swag net and grabbing one of those fairies, putting it in a bottle, and take the kiss from the other one. That was a smart play there by LMA. As she heads into the...
Yeah, a lot of times you would see someone, trying to just take both of them for a heal, but we don't even have 14 hearts. This has been a relatively unhealthy seed. 12 and 11 hearts, respectively, as so much was blocked off by Mirror and Boots in various parts of the overworld.
Yeah, we'll probably see a nice low collection rate from these two runners when they get down to it, when we get to their final scores. Considering it
Gauntlet.
took us an hour plus to find the first glove.
Yeah, and then maybe a minute or two later, finding the other one. Well, a relatively straightforward gauntlet here for LittleMsArcade, taking some damage, but otherwise emerging from these rooms without having like serious concerns. And having so much health walking into the Lamolus 2 fight's a really great place to be, as it makes the rest of the rooms a little more comfortable. Something to remember about LittleMsArcade's climb here is without boots, a lot of these room strats are a lot less friendly. Also, a really nice recovery to get the
Shine with me!
2 cycle on Lamolus. Moving onwards, LadyBoxthief here going to go all the way to the Ice Armos, it looks like, and that's probably not going to work out very well for her, although she will be heading right after that.
Oh, good. Somebody else heard Shine with Me. That wasn't my imagination. I appreciate that.
I was trying to ignore it. So PSA to the folks out there who are racing this tournament, do try to remember. I mean, it's going to happen sometimes, so try to remember to turn off the audio alerts. Alrighty, an Ice Armos fight for LadyBoxthief here. Slight delay on the last Armos, but taking no damage, and in a good position to get a good entrance to the Vanilla Big Key Room. So while she's on her way to the right side, LittleMsArcade here, all ready to torch us too. All in all, I've been very impressed with both of these two in Gan's Tower. This has been, kind of an uncomfortable situation for both of them. LittleMsArcade without boots, having to do strats that definitely don't feel that great, and LadyBoxthief having to navigate some weirdness with some of the tile puzzles with the warp tiles. So the two of them really bouncing back from small execution errors pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Really smooth execution for the most part. Very strong job throwing with a seed that has thrown a lot at these two runners, or I guess not very much if you think about it, depending on which way you think about it. So
And that's where my head's at on this is like, this is a big stage for a lot of people. It's kind of nerve wracking to be racing in this situation. And these two, despite having very many frustrating situations to deal with, just in terms of the game's logic today, really showing their composure and humor in different ways, which I really enjoyed so far in this race.
I love a good rage slash. It's always good.
All right, well, that's Moldorm 2 down for LittleMsArcade, presumably entering the Aghanim fight right now as LadyBoxthief begins climbing the tower with the first Mimic Room. Plenty of arrows to work with. LittleMsArcade finding a few drops here in the gauntlet on the way up. Should have no problems from either of them for the Ganon fight.
Yeah, butter sword, silvers, red mail, half magic. You can't. You're fully kitted out there for the big pick. We'll see if LBT decides to hop over into and take those fairies here. Sitting on 5 hearts. She's got some more potions though, so now she's gonna head right.
Yeah, I believe she got 2, or she has at least 1 right now. I gotta say, that's some aggressive fire rotting.
I love
Holy
it.
mackerel.
Love Fire Rod in that room. Oh, hey. LMA is back. She's fighting Ganon. Good.
Yep, phase 2, it looks like appears to have been a 1+1 cycle. To be expected with a gold sword and these two runners experience levels. So despite some really annoying fire bats, there should be a pretty straightforward conclusion here.
Yeah, LMA making very good use of her magic cape. They're very helpful in the Ganon fight. If you've got the magic cape on and you spam your sword or you are grabbing onto a wall, magic cape just still works and doesn't drain any magic. It's real nice.
Setting up for a torch glitch to give an opportunity for an extra arrow here in the first attempt of phase 4. Have to watch out for these fire bats. Unfortunately missing the torch glitch, so while that doesn't matter as much with silvers, it is a little bit less comfortable. I do like the choice to switch to Fire Rod. This does allow her to light both torches without having to walk so far between them, making the timing a little bit better for the Ganon slashes and arrows.
Yep. Not just misses the double there. 3 hits down, 1 more to go. And there it is. Get your GGs in chat for LittleMsArcade taking down the Big Pig and securing 3 additional points for its MIP.
Taking a commanding presence in the conference, one of the few teams currently to have 9 points on the board. Really impressive. So that'll be an official SRL time in first place for LittleMsArcade of 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 41 seconds. GG.
GG to LittleMsArcade. We'll see if we can get her in for an interview. As we see LadyBoxthief heading up, is now through the gauntlet and headed to a date with Moldorm 2 and Aghanim 2.
As for the rest of the Link the Past Randomizer League for the rest of the night, we actually do have several, and by several I mean like at least 5 more races to start, and several that have been ongoing. So currently you got Iron Dak Rick versus Lavin Firestorm on SG Main, and we'll have the ALTTPR League 2, Speed Gaming 2, Speed Gaming 4, the ALTTPR League, and 1 more match on Speed Gaming to close out the rest of the night. Apparently there's actually a 12:40 a.m. EDT time on Speed Gaming as well, so that's technically Friday where I'm at, but still tonight for those of you who are just never sated with their randomizer hunger. But we are joined, it looks like, by, is that LittleMsArcade?
Yes.
GG.
Thank you.
So, how about those gloves?
I was so happy to find them there and not have to deep swamp. I was happy with my choice. Yes.
Sorry,
yes.
go ahead.
I was happy with my choice not to go to swamp now and just do the 2 check of mirror near. But yeah, both back to back.
We're gonna watch LBT's Aghanim 2 fight. Taking him on right now here.
Yeah, though I know that you don't have a whole lot of time to stick around with us, LittleMsArcade, but I believe this is the first race for your team this week, or is this 2?
The second. I can win this race Thursday? Tuesday? Yes.
Yeah, I was actually on comms for Falcon's race as well a little bit earlier this week, and he won as well. So, any other thoughts? I mean, the gloves really. Were you? I guess the other thing is, were you ever tempted to jump up to the mountain and get that cape and then go down and get the boot?
I went to get the cape, but I was like, do I go get the boo? So I wait. I hesitated and I said, no boots, no detour, just go straight and finish the seed. And hope that the GT Vicky is not on the torch.
Yeah, it worked out for you for sure. So we see LadyBoxthief in phase 3 of her Ganon.
Yeah, that ended up being, I think, the largest remaining divergence between the two of you was that boots were picked up by LadyBoxthief shortly before I think she went into Mire, or maybe just after, which ended up being, pretty much the only thing that was really in the long term that was different, except for some Northern Dark World checks from LadyBoxthief. So the two of you routed remarkably similarly. It's really interesting how this ended up playing out.
Yes.
And there is that last silver arrow for LadyBoxthief. Get your GGs in chat for LadyBoxthief as well. Taking down Ganon.
And hopefully we'll be able to get LadyBoxthief in for a interview to talk about this race with both the president, because I imagine you probably had a lot of similar thoughts throughout this race. That was one of the more entertaining parts of this.
Now it's an official SRL time for LadyBoxthief of 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 7 seconds. LMA, anything you'd like to add? I know you need to run here before too long.
Yeah, just I had a feeling when the seed started that was gonna be a Naga seed, and I don't know why, but I was worried.
We've seen a lot of those in Ambrosia Week. Here, a lot of Agaseeds over in Ambrosia Week. I think you've already got one of the 3 things you need to do it right off the bat with the sword.
Yeah, and those swords so early, butter like in 20 minutes. It was very nice.
Looks like we have LadyBoxthief hanging out in the waiting room. So we are joined actually by LadyBoxthief. GG.
Thank you.
I'll start off, LBT, with the same question I had for LittleMsArcade. How about those gloves?
Oh God. Oh, that was probably the most frustrating thing. That, and then wherever Ether was, that was.
Yeah, we didn't find those and the silvers until Hookshot Cave, which wasn't entirely out of the question for for a while, but there's just so many things that end up unfolding once you find those mitts. I mean, it was basically the Billy Mays tablet there, because once you found your glove, oh wait, there's more.
Yeah, a bit. I guess I'm just happy to no TR dip and no swamp dip. So if there had to be one positive thing to come out of this, I'm gonna go with that.
Yes, I agree.
Well, you two put on a heck of a show in a very, what seemed like a very frustrating seed to me, at least. I can't imagine playing it. Now, next week we've got our Randomizer seeds coming up here in week 3 of the league. Either of you set to play in Randomizer next week?
Nope, that's my week off.
Yeah, same. I get to start practicing to take down Swedish rubbers. You know who you are.
Hey, hopefully you tear them apart. Probably not the manufacturer's recommendation.
No.
Those 3 probably not too happy about that.
Yeah, this is a
but
family show, guys.
This will plot now. I have no understanding what you'd possibly be implying by that. But, however, it's nice to have a week off. It sounds like the 2 of you are probably doing the mystery week, or maybe even cross keys shortly thereafter.
Yes, I'm going to be back to Cross Keys.
Same for me as well. Yep, cross keys. So get a nice 2 weeks to get some prepping.
Yes.
Same here. I get to jump back into cross keys here. Unless either of you have any more to add, we're letting your streams run here for fantasy points purposes here. But anything else from either of you?
No, GG LadyBoxthief, and that's it. Thank you for the restream. Thank you a lot for the commentary. Always appreciated.
My pleasure, sir.
Yeah, our
Same.
pleasure. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy the watch back. It was very interesting seeing the two of you guys side to side and exchanging leads several times.
I just gotta say, hey, it was cool to go lady because there's not enough females in this community, so girl power.
That's true.
Agreed. It was great to see this match like that as well.
And hopefully the first of many. So, yeah, I mean, the great representation all around from the two of you. I know that both of you two actually hail from different segments of the community, so to speak. LadyBoxthief kind of repping the Go Mode podcast flag, and LittleMsArcade, I know at least 2/3 of your team is French.
All of my team is French.
Yeah. So, I mean, big props for the polyglot community in Link to the Past, those who speak several languages. Very impressive to see, actually, which maybe the two of you folks would consider some commentary stuff. There's lots of matches, 64 a week.
Plenty of matches.
I'll try. I don't feel. I don't know if I'm confident commenting in English, so I'm afraid to start speaking French out of the blue sometimes. So
Get in touch with some of the French background mods and all of them. I mean, I don't know if Rywek's still associated with the French restreams on SG FR, but I know that they would definitely cover him if we had the commentary for it.
yeah, they are.
At least now I know why I got beat. It's because she has a certain je ne sais quoi.
There you go.
There you go. And I apologize for any poorly butchered French that I spoke at any point in it. Because I definitely don't speak French, and it's a great sounding language. I just don't know it.
Anyway, good night, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
GG,
GG.
merci beaucoup.
Have a
Au
wonderful
revoir.
night.
Au revoir. So, thanks very much once again, GG, to both of our runners, LittleMsArcade and LadyBoxthief. If you are not done with league action tonight, you have plenty more where that came from. We've got 2 races going on right now. We've got Relkin versus Hobo Jim. I Like Big Boots versus Swedish Rubbers. That's over on the ALTTPR League 2. Over on Speed Gaming 2, just kicking off a moment ago, is Rywek versus Corvée, Les French Canadiens versus Link Finds a Way. We've got Grouchy Old Men versus Will Pull Ped for Food over on Speed Gaming 4 at 9:25 Eastern Time and at 10:10 Eastern Time over on the ALTTPR League. We've got 16-Bit Nerds versus my team, the Long Shots, Diesel Martini, my teammate, heading there for our first match of the week. So I'll be keeping a close eye on that one.
Yeah, still some ambrosia left up until Sunday. Next week being the Randomizer. We'll get to see, obviously, these two ladies' teammates play, so as we just heard from the two of them. And then, of course, all 64 teams will have their representatives out there. So stay tuned, folks. We're just getting started.
Absolutely. So that is it for us here today. Go watch something else. There's more rando that's actually happening, that's actually racing right now. So my name is Tyler Salt.
Yep, we had our tracker today, Cool Papa Belt, keeping us, straight and narrow on figuring out exactly what's going on screen. I was Uday Monistic, and folks, thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time.
We've got a race coming up here in 10 minutes. You can stay right here. Thanks, everybody.
So stay here, folks. We demand it.
Your compliance is mandatory.
Have a great night, folks.
Good night, everybody.